to thank you all for coming. Welcome. What a fantastic turnout. Just as loud as a guest. Sorry, I'll try to move the mic a little more. Is that help?
No. Worse.
If I stand back a little, does that help? Yes. How about if I shout?
Yeah.
That I can do.
That I know.
Pay no attention to that man, he's my distant cousin. If you all have seen the name Al Carpenter in the paper and letters to the editor and #1 OU sports fan, this is Al Carpenter here. Give him a big hand. I see Al every week at Redbud. He's a resident there, and I play piano there during lunch hours. And so I've been going there about 22 years, so I've known Al for a long time. Not that he's been there that long, I have. So, anyway, I'm Carol Canfield, and I'm the host for you all this afternoon, and I thank you all for coming out. I've got a list of introductions to make here, and can't read with it, can't read without.
And you get back to shouting.
Okay. Thank you, David. So I want to thank you all for being here, and the reason we are here is to share thoughts with each other. We all come from different positions, but we're going to share our thoughts together about how closing this road would affect us. What would it do for us? What would it do against us? So that's why we're here. We have all kinds of special guests here this afternoon. First of all, I'd like to ask any comments that you make that you be respectful, okay? We don't want to make enemies of anybody here, but we just want to have a good conversation and get this thing on the table. If you didn't get a name tag, we've got name tags on either side of the entrances here, so please grab one. There's water over here, there's a jug, and the glasses are next to you. Help yourselves. If you didn't get a yellow flyer, please make sure you get one before you leave. These flyers are very important. They have all the contact information for the city council and for the mayor's office so that you can contact them. And I would strongly urge you to do this because it's very important that they know how you feel about the road being closed and the options that are being presented. So please think not that your voice doesn't count, because it absolutely does. And enough said for that. Okay. I want to thank special committee members. They don't know they were part of the committee, but they are part of the committee. First of all, Sue Scambolari, who has been just incredible. Eric Ost, who put together the video that this... Yeah, Eric, are you here? Where are you? You can scan the QR code that's on the bottom there, and that will take you directly to the video so you can watch it. And the video was just finished night before last. So I'm excited about that. Paul and Linda Kern, right hand arms. Stand up, please. They are responsible for the ads in the paper, setting things up, coming to meetings. I can't tell you all the things they've done. So my hat's off to you. And let's see. Diane Robertson. Di Robertson. She's going to be speaking a little bit. Bertie Lehman. Bertie knows all the ins and outs of dealing with city matters because she successfully headed up the movement to keep the cell tower out of her neighborhood and won. So she's a good one to have on your side. Chuck Livingston, I don't know if he's able to make it. Are you here, Chuck? He's been invaluable in the meetings we have, our constituents meetings with Sue. He's just a remarkable contributor. Deidre Todd, are you here, Deidre? Another one. Ralph Shaw. Ellen Cordocas. Are you here, Ellen? There she is around the corner. knows more things off Ellen than I can possibly tell you. She's been invaluable. John Washburn, are you here, John? He was part of our traffic count, which I'll tell you about in a minute. Joe Basie, thank you, Joe. Ann Stevenson, she's been a great one to bounce off of too. Amy Hinn, who was our wheelchair pusher today, thank you, Amy. And Bob and Janice Goddard, thank you for the use of your wheelchair. And Margaret Ramsey. And then everybody who's helped with the traffic counts, and they're just too numerous to mention. So, next I want to introduce the council members to you. First of all, Sue Scambolari. Susan Sandberg. Isabel Piedmont Smith. Ron Smith. Is Ron here? Okay, I'm expecting him, so he may be here. And I don't know, is Jim Sims here? He was going to try to make him, but wasn't sure because he's got to get ready. And Dave Rollo, is he here? Steve Mullen. Kate Rosenbarger. And Matt Flaherty sends his regrets, he wasn't able to make it. Okay, the mayor has sent a representative, the new deputy mayor, who's, this is his initiation. He goes actively on duty next weekend, so Larry Allen. Council candidates, Isak Asari, are you here today? He wasn't sure if he'd make it because his wife's due to go into labor any minute. That's a good reason to miss. Opie and Mark Stosberg, are you here? They weren't sure if they would be in town or not. Okay. Ronna Schrudy, Brett Heinisch, and Andy Ruff. Okay. And then I want to introduce press members that I know are here. Dave Askins. Is Dave? Lucas Gonzalez. I don't know if you saw the articles. He's had news going on WFIU, WTIU, and the Indiana Public Media in the last few days. It's been terrific. Thank you. Ted Sterling from AM 1370. Okay.
I'm Tom from Cats.
Tom.
Yep.
You have to forgive my memory. I just had a memory test with my neurologist yesterday, and I only passed by 1 point. So, if I'm forgetting things, please just excuse that. Okay, let's see. I want to give you a traffic count. We did our own study of the traffic on this road, and we sat next to the parking lot, or next to the playground in the handicap parking lot, and there's a speed bump right in front of that parking lot. That's where this road would close, all the way south. So we did the count there to count not the ones coming through up to the playground, but the ones that went beyond it. So we give you the results of that. We did this study between March 29th and May 23rd. We had 11 random hour-long counts, all times a day for an hour. That resulted in 298 vehicles, 44 bicycles, 3 pedestrians on the road, and 145 pedestrians on the new path. And then an additional count that was done for an hour and a half on June 17th, Guy did that for us, thank you, observed 43 vehicles, 15 bicycles, 3 pedestrians on the road, and 73 pedestrians on this path. The path is getting well used, really. But the point is, way more vehicles than anything else. So,
Carol, we still can't hear you back here.
I'm sorry.
Turn up the amplifier.
It's up as high as it goes. It's a cheapo karaoke machine my aunt gave me.
Oh, sorry.
I can't afford to print stuff. This.
You wanna pull forward a little bit? Pull you forward a little bit?
Sure.
Yeah. Thank you.
Carol, if you could just repeat those statistics you just said.
Yes, I'll be happy to.
Thank you.
Can you hear me a little better?
Yeah.
Does that help? Okay. Okay, so statistics again on the traffic count that we did. 11 random traffic counts between March 29th and May 3rd resulted in 298 vehicles, 44 bicycles, 3 pedestrians on the road, and 145 pedestrians on the new path, this wonderful path that brings you right up to here and continues on up to the boardwalk to the waterfall. And if you haven't taken that and you're able to go, by all means do it. Count done for an hour and a half on June 17th by Guy Robertson observed 43 vehicles, 15 bicycles, 3 pedestrians on the road, and 73 on the path. So way more vehicles than anything else. Okay, so I want to give some directions for the people who are going to speak. I've asked certain people to start us out by speaking, and I'll introduce them to you in just a minute. Anybody who speaks, we'd like for you to give your name and give the neighborhood you're from, so we know how broad an area we're covering here at this meeting. Speak directly into the microphone, as you know why. It's not an all-directional mic, and it's not that great. Okay, first person I'd like to introduce is Jamie Scholl. I've been watching her comments on Nextdoor, and I thought I gotta ask her to speak. So, Jamie, come on up.
Thank you. It's been a while since I've been in front of so many people. My name is Jamie Scholl. I live in Barclay Gardens area, which is south of town, near the Zen Center, if you know where that is. I'm going to read through some of the points that I've written in the past, and then elaborate on a few of them. There have been points listed not just by me, but by many others, and I felt like I was consolidating some of those that meant the most. First one, there are 9. It allows those with mobility issues to access a beautiful natural area. It's one of the only ways to get into town from the north side on game days. Number 3, safety for those who feel threatened by the unhoused living in the park. I've experienced this myself by coming into one of these and disturbing someone who was asleep, which mentions some of the issues that we need to address. Number 4, it's accessible to those with advanced age when you can drive through it. My mother can no longer walk well at all, and this is one of the few areas that we can go to. Number 5, emergency vehicle access is better with lanes open to automobiles, especially whether that's during game days or if there's an accident where anything needs to be closed. Number 6, residents that use nearby parks usually are much closer in proximity. Mark Stosberg actually has information on this, so I'll refer to him on that. The nearest residents do not want the park changed. They have very good reasons for that. The townies, those who grew up here, like myself, often feel they're ignored, and those I've talked to do not want the road closed. Number 9, the plan that is used to create projects like this, I believe, may be due to be reevaluated based on the number of years since it was created. I want to elaborate on first, when I couldn't say that I was like a townie whenever my family first moved here, at the end of my 4th grade year. If anyone remembers Brown Elementary, knows Musgrave Orchards, that's the location. My school bus, many hours of my life were spent crisscrossing Chambers Pike and all of these roads back and forth, not only to get to Brown, but then later to Unionville, because I went to Unionville Middle School, which no longer exists. So I know those roads extremely well. I remember sitting in the back of the pickup truck when that was allowable, closing my eyes and knowing exactly where I was on the road on Old 37 on the way up and back into town. I can say that with all of the roads that have been closed with I-69, there are very, very few availabilities, and this is the only one. I have not witnessed any speeding. I still come here. I wrote a poem, a zuhitsu, that I read at Miami University in Ohio this past spring, sitting up there in that part of the park. Another one that I want to mention is also with my history, and that's not long after moving up here. I had a distant cousin who is a fine artist who lived in another location. My family would bring her here to visit for a time. She had been hit by an automobile, had one leg, and since she was at an advanced age, was not able to have a prosthetic fit comfortably. This was the only park she was able to access. And me and my family, in our big old station wagon, Oldsmobile with a wood side handling, would slowly drive up and down here to allow her to see and be in a natural area, and that was not available to her at any other point in her life at that stage. So those are the points. I know that others have many other points, but thank you for allowing me to speak, and I'm for leaving the road open.
I forgot to mention, if you do come to speak, please try to keep it between 3 and 5 minutes, because we have a lot of people here, and I imagine everybody wants to be heard. And thank you, Jamie. Sorry. If you come up to speak, keep it short, keep it brief, like Jamie, thank you. Okay, Diane Robertson. Excuse me, I forgot to acknowledge Ron, who helped put everything together with the sound. Thank you, Ron.
Good afternoon. I am so glad that everybody is here. This is a wonderful day, and this is a wonderful place. To me, it's like a sacred place. As I said in that one video I did with Lucas, this reminds me of my hometown, upstate New York, and this is the only place left in town that does that. But I'm a caregiver, and I live with handicapped folks, and some of them were nonverbal, some of them were not able to get around, and we wind up coming here and driving through when they're upset. I wind up bringing them here, we walk, have picnics here. It's just so wonderful. And if we had to walk in, that would be kind of hard. But we park over there, and it's still a long trek. But it's just, like Carol said, if you get the chance, go up and view our new boardwalk. It is wide, you can push a wheelchair up, you can go for the walker, and it is not closed off. You can still get down to the water. Beautiful. So we're making this more accessible. We're making it more accessible, and yet I don't understand why we want to close the road. We should make it more accessible, We spent all that money, and look what they did on the creek bed. We have lots of people that go down there and walk in the creek. We have lots of people that sit there, read a book, do whatever. There was a family here when I did that count. There was a group here, and they moved from their group down to the water. And they were singing and having a good time, It's just great. But let's share. Bikes and walkers can still come, and this path, I understand, can be possibly extended past that parking lot. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people are upset because we can't get down to the water over there either. But I wound up doing a little study on my own this morning, and when I left home, it was 76 degrees on my car temperature. When I got to the east side of town, it went up to 79. Coming through town, it went up to 82. When I crossed that pond that we have between Walnut and College to come down here, it went up to 83. By the time I got to the second bump coming in here, it went down to 81. By the time I parked, it was down to 79. This is a beautiful place. You know, like I said, let's just share. And everybody has their own ideas, but let's get all together and share the ideas and come up with something great. And we can make another path. You know, I don't care if the lights come down this side. You know, it's beautiful. And, you know, it's an ancient park. It's it's the first Bloomington park, and it was built in the days right after World War II. You know, I understand there was a hotel and everything down here. When I came to town 37 years ago, there was still an old home park down at the other end. You know, so a lot of people live here. A lot of people leave here, come back. I have people that have commented to me that live in other states across the country that remember this park. And some of them actually do coordinate and come back here for their family reunions. So let's just share and let the mayor know that this is important to us. And shutting it off, I don't understand what that's going to do. You know, I can, for one, we have a beautiful switchyard park. I, for one, cannot bike anymore. I've gotten injured and I can hardly walk sometimes. I can't use Cascades, not Cascade. I can't use that park. I have to walk too far. Even when we had the 50s, over 50, what's it called? The Expo. It took me 15 minutes to get into that building because I had to walk so far. You know, and it's just not, like I said, I love this place and everybody else does too. So let's see what we can do together. Okay? Thank you.
Okay, next up is Chris Thurbaum. Chris is a former city council member. You may remember him from serving on that. And weren't you, or maybe still on the historic commission?
I am, yeah.
Yes. You have to, it's,
Bring it up.
yeah.
Pull it out.
This way? Tess, can you hear? There you go. All right, let's talk. So I got the message not to talk too long. I'm with you. So I wrote a letter to the HT about how much I enjoyed coming here with my grandson Max. And our trips for the last 8 years have spanned when it was open, when it was closed, after they closed off the drive-through for the Ford, you know, where we can no longer get in there close to walk back to the falls. So we all love the park. I won't go over that part. What I'll do is really help us be strategic, because what do we do now? You know, how are we going to be effective about doing something about what's happening to us? So Scott Robinson put out 4 options. One of them is close this off, let the whole road from there on be bicycle and pedestrian, no cars. That's the option. Option 2, or another option, is close half of it, so you only have one-way road going the rest of the way, and bike and pedestrians are on the other half of the road. And those are both options that they can use the road, they can save some money, and yet somebody loses. And people that lose are the people that need to use this road and have used this road forever, and that want to drive all the way through and that don't want to drive all the way down and come back, etc. So the winners and losers. There's a third option. Keep the road, but build, this is like the 7th Street option, where we build a little bicycle highway that tears up the rest of the landscaping, makes a bridge across the river, costs $3 million. You know, that option, that's option 3. And then there's the option where we share the road. We have, those little bike pad pillows or whatever they're called, cushions, the things that keep us going not very fast. That option, I think to follow the rules, they may have to build a sidewalk, and they'll have to be creative, because some places there's plenty of room for a sidewalk, some places there isn't. But this lets the traffic keep coming, the bicycles can share the road. What we noticed when Max and I, my grandson, came through, when it was closed, we rode on that on our bicycles, and there were sticks and things all over the road, and I've talked to other cyclists who say, when you don't have traffic coming through, the road isn't taken care of, the sticks are on the road, and not only that, but when we came through, we also were a little scared to walk back to the falls. So I mentioned the 7th Street syndrome, but there's another syndrome. Let's see what that syndrome is. I'll get to it. Well, it's the syndrome of what's happening at the park right there by Kroger's. And the syndrome is that we have a homeless camp. And I'll tell you, no politician planned on that homeless camp, but it's there. And nobody has found a solution to it. And you close off this road, and that's what's very likely to happen to the rest of our lovely park. It won't be accessible to anyone but bicycles and pedestrians. If police cars need to go back, they will be able to find their way back. But our experience was, it was frightening, and it wasn't safe when the road was, and that part of the park was closed off. So we should learn from our mistakes, and we should keep that open, and we should find a way to serve everyone in this park. Now, there's a reason Scott Robinson wrote, the big problem with this common sense plan, which is called the no-build plan, is that it would cause us to have amendments to the transportation plan and amendments to the comprehensive plan. And my reaction to that is, it's about time. I voted for that transportation plan, and I never imagined that it would be used this way, that it would be used to go against people's opinions, people's needs, people's protection, their own safety, their own park. It was a map. It wasn't the 10 Commandments. And we need to treat it that way. It's guidance. And as we interpret this plan, we need to listen and look at who's speaking up. We're saying, this has problems. We don't want to shut the road off. We love the park. There are a million good reasons to do this. And what's actually great about this is it opens up the possibility of amending the transportation plan, which is starting to be out of control. So the things that have also changed since I was off council, there's only one council meeting. There used to be one where you hear it and talk about it, and you come back and have another one, and then you vote on it. So everyone gets aware and gets paying attention. Now there's one. And this vote is going to be 5-4 or 4-5. And you want to be there. You want them to see your faces when they either take away your rights or support your will to keep this park open. You want them to see you. You want to be there. And that matters. So democracy, it's out there. The levers are there, but we got to pull them. We got to act. We got to show up.
Yeah.
So I have this little chant which goes, no build, amend the plans. Anybody want to do it? No build, amend the plans. No build, Amend the plans. No bill. Amend the plans. Thank you, everybody.
Hey, it's wrong.
Doesn't like it.
I had asked Charlotte Zitlow to speak, she's our former mayor, and she has strong opinions about this, and so she was not able to come after all today, but she did send me an email today with a statement. Can you hear me?
Somebody read it with a loud voice.
Yeah. Would somebody with a loud voice like to read this?
The guy who spoke.
All right.
You just got seated.
Sure, now what do I do? Okay. Charlotte was never the mayor, but she was close.
She should have been.
She could have been. Charlotte says, "Dear friends, I'm sorry I can't be with you this afternoon in person, but I am with you in spirit. I have a number of questions about this proposal I think need to be answered. First of all, what problem does this proposal solve? What is the problem here? Is it going to make people healthier? Is it going to make them happier? Is it going to make movement easier than what?
Yes.
Why do we have to do this now?
Why wait?
Secondly, what is it going to cost?
Almost nothing.
Is this the most important use of money? Third, what are the exact plans intended? It is very clear what is being proposed, question mark? I don't think so. I hear it's intended to improve continuity. How does closing off something improve continuity?
Amen.
I fail to see how we're gonna get from one place to another over College Avenue into the Miller Showers Park to increase content connectivity there. That makes no sense to me. This is a beautiful, beautiful park down below there which many people have enjoyed for a long, long time, and is by far the best playground in town. I used to take my children and my grandchildren to this park over a period of time. We've always enjoyed the beauty of the vegetation and the sound of the creek going by. It's just a peaceful, nice place, but at this point in my life, I can't maneuver it, and I miss that. But I can go strolling along in the car. I can do that. And I did that, have done that quite often, just to be reminded how beautiful the vegetation in this little park is. And the sound of the waterfalls is so calming and healing. Closing the road will deny that opportunity to many people, especially older people and people with disabilities. Is it even legal to close off access to a city park for people with disabilities in this way? How many people will this assist and who will benefit from this? People who ride bikes, maybe. People who walk, maybe. The proposal has been turned down twice in the past, and for good reason. The current administration lacks transparency in the process for making this decision. Why now, just before the change of city leadership? I have heard no compelling argument to close this road at this time, and fear that it will cause significant harm to the community. Charlotte, Steve Zill.
At this time, I'd like to open up the floor to those of you who would like to speak, and I'd like to take alternating opinions, so pro and con. So let's start with a pro, keep the road open. Al?
Well, I've been around here since I was 10 years old or more. My dad had one of the first gas stations in this community back in 1955. It was up on the corner of Second and Walk. And I've seen this town change, some for the good, some for the bad. But this road being closed makes no sense. It should be open to all who need to go through and see the beauty of this. The thing that means more to me is the fact that I played in this park when I was 10 years old and young. And when I heard that they were gonna close that road, I got angry. Because the citizenry that grew up here is getting stepped on by people that come in that have not had roots in this community. And I'm tired of it. So as a citizen who loves this town, and I've been in it most of my life, it would be a travesty to close that road. And anybody with any common sense knows you gotta have access to see something this beautiful. And I don't think this mayor understands what it means to the local people here in this community. Like I said, I grew up here, I love this park. I've often come down here in my wheelchair and just pulled over and had a little communion with God about how I feel and how lucky I am. So I can say to those who want it to close, please rethink your thinking, because if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Let's hear from somebody with an opposing opinion. If you come up to the mic, please, it'll be easier.
Hi,
Tell us where you're from, today.
my name's Greg Alexander. I'm gonna try to yell, it's real awkward for me. But I'm from. I'm from Maple Heights, which is about a mile and a half due south of here. My kid is 11, he's playing in the park right now, he rode his bike here. We had a car tailgating us here, even though we were going just about the speed limit, and he wasn't there when we started, so he must have been speeding to catch up to us. That's a true story that just happened. So, I grew up here. I grew up in Ellisville, actually. I'm a townie. I want the path to be open for bike and ped for my kids. Because my kids have actually come to this park a lot less than they could, because we met this barrier of about a mile roadway that's not a safe place to walk. Even with the speed humps, it's not a safe place to walk. Jamie Scholl told you she's talked to a lot of townies, and they all want this to be closed to pedestrians and open to cars. But I've talked to Jamie Scholl quite a bit, and I am a townie. So she told you that I don't exist, that I'm somehow other, different, apart from this city. I'm not. My kids are the future of this city. My family is the past of this city. My wife's great-granduncle is buried in Rose Hill. We are part of this city, and we want to walk and bike. I got two questions that I really hope to see answered. One of them, I just don't know the answer. Some of you guys know the answer, maybe somebody will tell me. On game day, what's so bad about using Kinzer Pike? I don't know, maybe there's something bad about using Kinzer Pike. What's so bad about using Arlington? There are other roads.
There's traffic on Kinzer Pike. They won't let you turn on Kinzer Pike. Wait for us to get across.
So you don't like Kinzer Pike because there's cars on it. I gotcha. I don't like Old 37 because there's cars on it too. The cars make it on. So I got one other question for you, and this is super important to me.
Let's wait, if you want to speak.
I remember when I was a high school kid. I lived in Ellisville. I went to the Ellisville High School, which is basically on a highway. I couldn't do after-school things. I couldn't join the science club, the debate club, the drama club, the music club. I couldn't do any of that stuff because I had no way home. My dad didn't buy me a car the day I turned 16. I still don't have a license. I still don't have a car. I'm not made out of money. I feel pretty comfortable because I don't spend much money. Because I don't have a car. I don't spend on gas. I don't spend on insurance. I need my kids to be able to get back from North High School. My kid's 11, he's going to be going to North High School in 3 years. I don't need to tell you guys, they grow up so quick. We have had this plan to make Cascades a connection at North High School for 20 years. I have watched Chris Sturbaum speak in support of this plan. This plan was apparently bogus because it's not happening. How much longer are we going to wait? My kid was born long after this plan. This plan was 10 years old when my kid was born, and it still hasn't happened. He's going to be 14 and going to North, and it hasn't happened. Some of you guys remember what it was like to be kids. and go to high school. And when you guys were kids, most everybody walked at some point from high school. Is that totally wrong? Can you tell me that I'm completely full of crap there?
You are.
None of you ever walked home from high school, not even
You
once?
can't walk from Blue Ridge to here. You cannot.
When you
walk
were a
from-
kid,
You can't do it now.
Not safely.
when you were a kid.
You cannot do it.
So while you remember driving to high school every day, that's fine.
Excuse me, Secretary. When he asks the question, let's treat it as a rhetorical question, and then you can have your opportunity to answer.
And some of you remember the hassle of picking your kids up from high school. Some of you guys remember not being able to do the work or the meetings or the different things you want to do because you gotta carry your kids all over town. Well, that's my life, that's where I live right now. And so I ask you, because I really need to know an answer to this question. My kid is an independent transporter, he makes good decisions in traffic, we're working on that, he's growing as a person. He is willing to bike 20 miles in one day. It blows my mind what kids are willing to do. He's been able to walk 3 miles at a time since he was 2. How is he gonna get back from North High School? He is so excited to know that they have a drama program at North High School. How is he going to stay? If they need to stay until 4:30 in the afternoon and the buses are all gone and the city bus only runs once an hour, what's he gonna do? How is he gonna get back? And that's not a rhetorical question. Come up to me after or say when it's your turn. I need to know the answer to this question. This is of burning importance to me. Thank you.
Okay, somebody for a pro-open opinion?
Yeah, Jamie wants to respond. Jamie wants to respond. I did not say everyone, Jamie Scholl. I grew up next to Morgan Monroe State Forest, and I can answer that question. You live in a community, whether that's with the neighbors around you, the other people that's in the activity you're in, church or synagogue, if that's what you're involved in. We're involved in many communities within our community. So I can say that there were things that I did not participate in because it was much too far for us to drive, much too far for me to bike to Bloomington North. I got rides. I think a lot of us did. We had a telephone, we didn't text, we called, we had real connections and real relationships with other people. Sometimes we helped out with gas money, sometimes that's still what is happening. Sometimes you wait for a bus. That's it. You wait for a ride, you wait for a parent to pick you up, or a neighbor, or someone else that cares about you. And cares about what you want to do with your life and your passions. And that's how you get from however many, 10 miles out, it was next to the county line, in to do anything. And if not, then you find other things and you explore those things. You don't have to have your time filled. But if your child wants to do that, I say go for it. Find alternatives. That's part of the problem-solving aspect. I mean, we want to open this up to many. I mean, many of the bicycle riders I see here are little 5 riders. They're not people who are commuting. And if we're sitting in traffic on Pinter or wherever else, we have to sit in traffic. That's more CO2 into the atmosphere. I understand we want to cut that back. We can, start thinking about the electric cars and other things, but not everyone can be on a bike or even a motorcycle as we get older. And it's a lot easier to say that. I'm still in good shape, thank goodness, but I'm starting to feel that point of age where things are getting a little creaky. But it's a lot easier to sit back in time when you're younger and say, oh, well, I'm not going to get older. But we all now know we get older. And whether we like it or not, things happen. Our kids get, grow up fast, certainly. But we get older fast too, and we have to deal with those issues. So I'm still open to keeping this open. And Greg, if you want to talk about those things, then I'm open. Thank you.
I got mentioned, I'll just mention it. It isn't either or, it's how can we all share this space? And when I voted for the plan, I wanted us all to use it. The bikes, we're all together on this, it can't be, shut it off for some and keep it over. That's never been my position.
I have an idea, we have a half hour left, so if you want to speak, would you come line up here and form two lines, a pro line and a con line? That'll make it easier.
Pro as to what and con as to what.
Okay, pro, keep the road open, con, keep the road open. So if you want it open, one line, if you want it closed, another line.
Yeah, people behind you now.
All I gotta say is, as a community, we've got to do this together. And the way I see it is simply this. If the road is kept open, those who want to come by car can come. Those who want to walk, there's ways to get here. I got here, if I can get here, anybody can get here.
Closing the road, so somebody in that position?
In favor of closing?
In favor of closing, anybody?
Open.
No.
Then just leave it closed.
In favor of closing, do we have anybody out here? Okay, we'll continue, sir. Close the road. Name and
My name is Joe Davis, and I live in the South of Washington, sort of First Street area.
Speak up.
Sorry, my name is Joe Davis, and I live in the South Washington Street, kind of Bryant Park area. And I can tell you, living just one block away from Seminary Square Park, that that park is completely not useful to anyone but the unhoused right now. So, I'm being a little bit facetious here. Okay, I'm being a little bit facetious here, but just think, if we close this road, we could really provide a lot of housing for all those people who are without. No, of course not. I'm just joking, but I want you to understand the seriousness of what might result. Because when I drove in here, I saw the car encampment right there at the bridge as you cross under to come here. And I agree with Chris. It's not a safe place without there being the general public to have access freely. Because otherwise, who is gonna look out for this park and protect it? Where is the budget for law enforcement and security to come here and protect our park? Where is it? You know, we could totally eliminate that need if we just share the park with everyone and maintain the status quo. So let's look at this as a community gem to be protected, not something to be exploited as another jewel in the crown for whatever our mayor wishes to continue after he leaves this office. For everyone. Thank you.
Well, I'm another Joe Lee, and I live in the Bryant Park area. And I have to say, I have sympathy for what Mr. Alexander had to say. I think, you know, and I did either walk or bicycle to school from the 6th grade through, you know, high school. I did grow up in Worthington, Indiana, so that's a little different town. And let me tell you, it's much easier to bicycle because it's flat. But I don't think, you know, and I don't mean to be satirical or anything. I have sympathy for Mr. Alexander's position. But this isn't the answer. And all these 4 proposals, there's only one answer at this point. So what we need to do is to find a safer way for everyone to share the road, not to close access to the road for all of us. I look around, yeah, guess what? Almost all of us sitting here today are of an age. And I think, people say, okay, boomer. Well, I think we are okay boomers because we are okay. We want solutions. We want this park accessible to everyone.
Yes.
To make it accessible for everyone and to make it safer for bicycles and pedestrians. I'm probably about the only person here who has actually been struck by a bicycle and and I could have been killed. Because if I hadn't fallen on my chipped elbow, instead of on, if I'd fallen on my head, it would have been a different story. So, we want the park accessible and safe for everyone. And there are none of those other three solutions that are solutions other than closing off accessibility. And that we don't want. We want it accessible for everybody. For all of us. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Do you mind if I just clarify a couple things? Sure. I'm not pro-con, sorry. Hello, everybody. I'm glad to be here and listen to all of your important points of view. I'm very short, so I'm gonna have to. Your name? Your name? Yes, okay. Okay. Hi, I'm Isabel Piedmont Smith. I'm a member of the City Council. So I just want to clarify a few things. I appreciate you all being here and sharing your viewpoints. It's very important to me as a council representative to get that input. I just wanted to clarify that the proposal, and I'm not saying whether I'm for or con, but the four options that Chris Serban laid out, the one about closing the road to car traffic, that would not close access to this park to people in cars. Okay, I just want to clarify that. You can still come to the park and close to the shelter and the playground in a car.
Where?
From that direction, from the north.
You couldn't drive through, right?
You can't drive through.
You could not drive through.
Correct.
Yeah.
So it's
That's closing the road, no matter how you look at it.
Yes.
You may think, yeah,
Safe.
to you that may not make a difference, but to me it does make a difference, so I wanted to clarify that. And access to everybody,
It closes the road. It closes.
You don't
but
need
it
to
doesn't
close
close
this
access,
road.
you can still access
But
this
if people
park.
don't come because they can't drive the road, it closes the
People
road.
with their
And that's the
kids
problem.
and
That's why we've said no twice.
You can't do
You're
that.
talking about the
I am,
distance.
obviously, I just, anything else I would say wouldn't get through, so. I'm just trying to clarify the issues, but obviously it's pointless, so.
Excuse me, why won't you declare whether you're for or against it?
What?
You said you wouldn't say whether you're for or against it, why won't you? You're on the council.
Well, because I'm looking out here and I see pitchforks, basically.
Get out there, Isabel, please talk. Everybody, can you just listen to her? Let's be quiet.
I wanna hear what this, I don't understand this gray area that seems, I don't understand it, and I'd really like to hear her explain how there will be accessibility still with a road closed. I wanna hear this, please let her explain it.
That sounds good.
Okay, oh, thank you.
Oh, that's
Just
There you go.
All right, is this better?
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, thank you. All right, so, what I mean is that you will still be able to park just as close to the amenities of this park as you can now. if that is closed to vehicles. Does that make sense, Beth?
No.
Coming out from the north side?
Yeah, you can come from the north, you can park just as close, you could drive and then turn around so you could still see the park from your car. So that's what I mean.
If we would come from
I have a
the
question.
high school down the road to park here, we could not go between here. Is that what you're describing? That the way to get to this parking lot would not be through this road, but would be to drive through the golf course off of Timber Pike?
Yes, it would be from Kinzer Pike or from over across North Walden.
No.
Pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Okay, well, and the other thing I wanted to point out is accessibility is also important for people who don't have cars. So, like Mr. Alexander said, for people who ride their bikes and for people who want to walk. So accessibility is not just cars, and public rights of way are not just to get cars around, but to get people around in various ways that they might choose to get around. So I guess you are, to address, just tell us if you're for or against. I guess it's pretty clear to you that I am seriously considering voting in favor of making that road safe for pedestrians and bicyclists by closing that particular, and only that, access for cars. Now, I know you're all going to get out your pitchforks, but I wanted to take the mic today. I didn't actually intend to, but I just feel like there's been a lot of kind of misleading statements about closing the park to everybody.
Isabel,
That's not what's happening.
Isabel, I would like to thank you.
The
I would like
basic
to
thing,
thank Isabel for coming here and saying what she has to say. That's right. The mayor didn't come here to say what she had to say. The mayor, he's on vacation, maybe he's hard at work, I have no idea, but he's not hard at work here.
My name is Chris Taylor, and I live in Northwood Estates, which is up the hill by Cascades Golf Course. This is a picture from either 1951 through 53 of my parents. Down here in Lower Cascades, my dad was at IU School of Business, and he graduated from IU. And this is a picture of my parents and a friend down here in Lower Cascades. And so it was a wonderful memory. They did come back to Bloomington in later years, and we had picnics down here with them. I volunteered for the Parks and Rec Foundation for a number of years, and one of their projects was to rehab the limestone tables, picnic tables, and they're absolutely beautiful. I've been on picnics here with my children. I have been on picnics here with my grandchildren. I think about this park and I wonder, what was the reason why this park was created in the first place? Because it's beautiful. Why did they pick this place? Well, what a wonderful way to enter into a beautiful city like Bloomington. So keep it because it's important and it's also beautiful. And the last thing I want to say is, my family, when they were younger, my oldest now is 43. When we were a young family, we used to bike all over Bloomington before there were bike trails. I grew up in a town with one stoplight, and I learned how to cross a road without pushing a button. So I do feel like there are ways that we can use our brains to work well, and we do have to be able to live together safely.
I'd like to take a second to tell you my story a little bit. 3 years ago, I was able to ride my 27-speed bike. It's been sitting in my shed ever since. I have a diabetic ulcer on my toe that I've been trying to get healed by going to the wound care center every other week or every week. I still have that ulcer. I was walking up to 7 miles a day with my neighbors. We had what we call a gang of 10, and we would all walk together twice a day. I can't do that anymore. Trying to heft stuff, if I had not had the wheelchair that I was bringing over today to haul stuff from that parking lot, the handicap parking lot, over to here, if I had not had that to hang on to, I couldn't have made it. I can't walk like I once did. Something else I want to tell you, and I just found this out on Friday morning. This park, and this is the flyer that you have, has a couple of important things on it. The first QR code that you have is the mayor's proposal, Scott Robinson's proposal from the mayor about what they want to do with the road. And you can click on that and read it. You can also read Paul Kern's comments about it and analysis of it. It's pretty good. The second one, video, we made that, and it has a history. I've taken a lot of points from the history of this park. So when you watch the video, you'll learn about what happened down here, how this shelter came to be and the others, 29 picnic tables and all the benches and things. That was part of the WPA project. This park was created in 1921. It was named in 1924. And it was actually called Cascade, singular. That has changed since then. But this is an historic place, and it is on application to be included in the National Historic Registry. This is wonderful. So I just found out, and I've been trying for months to get this answer. And Bernie's been working with me on this, and Burns and different ones, and we haven't been able to get an answer. And I finally got an answer Friday morning. The road is included in that application. That's wonderful. I don't even know if we can legally do this. I mean, that remains to be seen because I'm not a lawyer and I couldn't tell you that. But the fact that the road is included in that application says volumes.
It was part of the Dixie Highway.
This was the old Dixie Highway. It was originally Highway 22. It was the Stagecoach Highway. It was the Martinsville Trail. It's the old Dixie Highway. It's Highway 37. It's Old Highway 37. And now it's nicknamed the Lower Cascades Road. This is important. This is history. This is our history.
People travel to play softball down in this park.
People travel it for all kinds of reasons. Anyway, I just wanted to please take the time to look at these QR codes. You'll learn a lot.
How do we support that
Would
nomination?
you mind if I cut in line, because I would like to respond to this Piedmont Smith comment about accessibility. I want to respond to.
Is that all right with you all? He's my husband. He's got to speak.
I've been a widower for the last month while Carol's been putting this thing together, so I need to get my 2 cents in. And I'm responding directly to what Ms. Piedmont Smith. I understand her point that there is a theoretical accessibility that will remain were this road to be closed. However, what I don't think she's taking into consideration, are you hearing me? Yeah. Accessibility is more than just physical ability to get somewhere. It's also distance. We are located, so we're sitting right here on the north side of Bloomington. So a great majority of Bloomington citizens who want to drive to this park have to come from the south, east, or west, which means that they're going to have to go considerably out of their way to get to this park. The difference in going directly in from the south and coming all the way around a couple of miles further to the north is going to limit the accessibility of some people because they won't want to take the extra time to drive the extra distance. Not to mention, there are environmental concerns. When you have that many cars on the road that much longer, you're going to be putting more pollutants into the air when people are driving miles further to get to the place where they want to go. My 2 cents.
My name is Bonnie Maxwell, and I've only heard one other person here today.
Speak up, please.
Put it on your lips.
I've only heard one other person who lives in the neighborhood, and I live on the other side of this park, across from the 17th. And right now, with the university and the traffic flow on bypass, we have to plan our lives around university games, and I resent the hell out of that. We go shopping at Sam's Club, whatever, we come around the bypass. God forbid it should be in the game, but whether that's football or basketball, they will not let you turn north on Hinton Pike. I can't make a left. I can't go down to Walnut, make a left. I can't come north and get home. Those of us who know the way, we know to come down Walnut, cut in under the park, come through the park, and up by the golf course. And I don't care if it is 20 miles an hour, I'll do it. I'll do the 20 miles an hour if I can get home. I do not want to be stuck up on the bypass for an hour trying to get across or get in here. That's one thing. And I also find it interesting that you did your auto count, your car counts or whatever, when classes were out and the university was gone. Try doing that on game day and see how many cars are coming through the park.
School actually was still in session, it just wasn't football season, but school was in session.
You said May 23rd or something.
April.
April? Okay, I thought there was something on into May or something. Yeah, but on game days, most of us who live up here on the north side, off Kinzer Pike, whatever, we know we can come through the park and slowly go. And like I said, I'm okay with the speed bumps and slowing it down. And if people are speeding, maybe we do need more police up here. I'm okay with that too. Stop these people. I'm just saying, we like access, and we keep it open. We can't come down the bypass and go up Walnut and come into this park at all. If the games are going on, they will not let you turn left and go north.
My name is Louis Decker. I grew up around this area, and as a kid, both my families had reunions here, as well as my life. Not only were we ever having a reunion, there was always a reunion. I am against closing this road. I want this park kept open. Carol, thank you for having us here today, sharing our thoughts. Now I want to say something, and this guy is unprepared for this, but I want to introduce to you Jim Burton, president of the local chapter of the Sons of the American Revolutionary War. Jim, would you please stand? He was totally unprepared for this, so but I had to do it. Thank you all.
Hi, I'm Peter Dorfman from the Near West Side. I'm not actually from here. I've lived here a little under 8 years. A lot of people who have lived here much longer than I have said very eloquent things specifically about this park. I want to say some more general things about bicycles, bicycles policy, and Bloomington's bicycle infrastructure. First of all, I went to high school in the early 1970s in New Jersey. I can tell you that Norwood, New Jersey, in 1970 had a whole lot more traffic than you'll ever see in Bloomington, Indiana. And the drivers are not known for civility. The last 2 years in high school, I rode to my bicycle 2.5 miles to high school most days. Never had an incident, and never even heard or thought of the concept of a dedicated bike lane. I shared the road. And the drivers, again, not known for civility, very successfully shared the road with me. So I'm a little mystified by the general feeling that I get from the bicycle community here, that riding the roads in Bloomington is unsafe. I don't get it. I want to say this twice. I have nothing but affection for the small minority of people in Bloomington who get around most days by bicycle. They offer something, they offer a model for compliance with our climate change policy that is nothing but admirable. I'll say this again, I have nothing but affection for the bicycle community in Bloomington. But it is very unclear to me why, as a matter of policy, the government of Bloomington privileges this segment of the society over everybody else. And this is a case, you could argue that putting in bike lanes is not privileging anybody, it's just giving people a margin of safety. This case, where we're talking about closing off access, and I'm sorry, Isabel, I have to agree that this is closing off access to this park to people who don't ride bicycles or walk. This is a case where the interests of people who are dependent on bicycles is being pitted against that of essentially everybody else. I go to Google, that's where people get their information these days in preparation for attending this meeting. If you read up a little bit on bicycle policy, you don't have to read very long before you run into the conflict between bicycle riders' rights and the rights of the disabled. There's very recent litigation in Washington, D.C., where disabled advocates are suing the city because of the bike lanes that have been installed that are making their lives more difficult, getting in and out of their cars, getting in and out of their homes. So there's no separated bicycle lane that's being proposed here, but I put it to you that bicycle policy in Bloomington is as much in conflict with the rights of the disabled as it is in Washington, D.C. I think that needs to be taken into account. I think this is a very direct example where the conflict is playing out in a way that it disadvantages the majority of people who live in Bloomington and use this park to the advantage of the bicycle community. And again, nothing but affection. That community includes the woman who, unless the Earth gets hit by an asteroid, is going to be our next mayor. I feel strongly that their needs for safety need to be respected, but there are conflicts that need to be confronted. I have never heard any discussion about that conflict. So I invite you to ask your city council representatives how they understand the resolution of that conflict before we go further with any more bicycle policy. Thank you.
I've done this time. You hear me? I thought so. I'm a loud mouth. Born and raised here in Bloomington, Indiana. Born in 1953, and I love this town. This is the way it looked when I was a little girl. I wish it still looked this way. It does not. It has been industrialized to the max. People who are in construction industries, out of town, all over Indianapolis, Chicago, etc., are making beaucoup bucks, knocking down older buildings, older historic buildings in this community and putting in housing for students. I don't know how many of you have read the Howard Zinn book, A People's History of the United States. It is very moving. If you have not, you should slap your hand up there is and pick up that book. Indiana University has broken more treaties with the people of Bloomington, Indiana, than the United States of America ever broke with the American Indian. And that's the truth. Initially, Bloomfield, Indiana was a chosen site, as well as Bloomington, for the university.
Spencer was too.
Was it? Al, are you Billy Carpenter's uncle?
Cousin.
Cousin, I thought so. I wanna talk to you later. I won't tell you why. Nobody else needs to know.
I hope it's good, I don't need no problem.
No, it's good. I got a present for Jean Ann. We had bicycles when I was a kid. This isn't the first generation to have bicycles. Here is another photo. You wouldn't believe who this is. This happens to be Tommy Gallagher in front of the Old Leather Limited store. Gotcha, Tommy. Yep. This is the old Indiana University Stadium, where Little Five was originally run. If you gentlemen want to put any of these photos in your... This is myself and my girlfriend, Lynn Baxter, Jane Baxter's daughter, sitting on top of the roof on North Vest in about 1958. The people who paid for that road, right there, many of them are gone. Some are still living. They have the right to see this park. And if they are having trouble with mobility, it will make it difficult for them to see the park. That is not fair, because that was paid for with property tax money, with money made by people who worked hard since the 20s. And I do not believe that it is either legal or right that that road be able to be shut off. The police need to be able to get through there. We already have a gang problem in and around this park. And if you don't believe me, anybody that wants to, give me a ring and I'll bring you for a little ride around this park at night. Because you will see upper level gangsters hanging in the parking lots, etc. It's here. It's not coming, it's here. We need for the police to be able to get through here. What if there is an accident beneath and more toward lower Cascades baseball diamond? What if there is a car accident? Those police officers need to be able to get through there, and the ambulances do too. I don't believe it's legal. I believe we would have a cause of action, a class action suit, and I do have a degree in criminal justice. And I have kept up on those things, and I believe that it is illegal to close that road. I believe the mayor's time for what's left of his term of office would be better used spending time correcting some of the mistakes that have been made, such as parking lots that have been built unneeded and unsoundly and had to be torn down later, such as huge trucks that have been purchased for recycle, for items that we are no longer recycling, such as a huge bus station that's mostly full of homeless. Oh, I'm sorry, there are 3 more people waiting, I didn't realize that. But, and I only have one last comment to make. As far as I'm concerned, Mayor, you didn't show up. We got you outnumbered, buddy.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Betty Rosenagel. Lots of you have heard me speak far too often. I do really want to thank again Isabel Piedmont Smith for coming. I wouldn't probably be able to stand up at this mic if you were all gunning for me as someone who doesn't think it's such a hot idea. However, I drove here, yes I did, and it occurred
up here, it's a curvy road, that's one of the things that makes it pretty. I don't ride a bicycle, but I can imagine that it's pretty scary, unless you're really good. So things to slow traffic down, I would be in favor of. Not all sorts of crazy things, like they're planning for a neighborhood street not far from me, which they plan to decorate with a cute little wavy green line, just in case you didn't know what a green way was, but let me drop that. What I do want, and this is relevant to everything that has to do with bicycles in Bloomington, do not include me as a pedestrian to leverage what you want. Please, don't do it. And I'd also appreciate you not calling it the Pedestrian and Bicycle Safety Commission anymore. It's not. So, I guess those are all my random thoughts. I'm of an age where you have a mind like a squirrel. And so I thought of, oh yeah, I don't want to be leveraged as a pedestrian. Oh yeah, it's a curvy road, yeah. It looks to me like it might be dangerous, either walking or riding a bicycle. Slow it down, yeah, sure, slow it down, so we can all share it. I don't want cyclists to get injured here. I don't want cyclists to get hit. I don't want Mr. Alexander's son. Oh, there was one other thought. I grew up in Fairfax County, in Virginia. Oh yeah, Virginia. Yeah. So Fairfax County is a very large county. Big consumer of school buses. Really a big consumer of school buses. Does this area not have something called a late bus? No late bus, that when the kids are in detention or the kids. I'm sorry, what? Otherwise, you mean aside from the ones that are late just because they're late? That's not what I meant. Okay, well that's what I would take. I live close enough that I walked, although I could have ridden the bus. But sure, all the band folks and the Latin club folks and the detainees took the late bus home. I would say some of this is a problem with our transportation plan. I didn't realize that the transportation plan didn't include transit. It was about roads and connections and so, but not transit. I think some of these issues could be solved with a robust transit system that you could. I lived, as I said, in Fairfax County, not far from Falls Church, not far from Alexandria, not far from the District of Columbia. My mother did not drive. She could cross our secondary street, get on a bus, and get right downtown. Sometimes she had to transfer. Sometimes she sort of drove underneath, the bus drove to pick up big brass from the Pentagon, chests full of medals and all of that. But yeah, you could, within a reasonable period of time, expect that bus that was going to take you from Falls Church, Virginia, past Fort Myers, and into the District of Columbia. So I was surprised when I learned that a transportation plan does not deal with transit. Yeah. That's all I needed to say. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Ashley is my representative. She is my city council member. And thank you for being here.
My name is David Bowden. I live right up there. We love this park, we love this place, but that's not what this is about. First off, I want to tell Isabel Piedmont Smith how much I appreciate her coming. I mean, seriously, thank you so much. We understand where you basically lie on most things because you've been consistent. And the fact that you would come here when you knew what you were going to hear is moving to me. Thank you. I appreciate also those who are on the city council who have been before. Thank you for coming. Thank you for the representative who is the new person representing Mayor Hamilton. We appreciate your presence. We really do. We're passionate about this. We want to tell our stories, but that's not what this is about. It's about two things. Are we going to keep the road open for cars, or are we going to close it? The reasons for closing it, like Charlotte Zitlow said, I don't understand. I mean, to be able to drive or to not be able to drive here is not really the point. The point is, why does this need to be closed so that bicycles can go through without encountering cars, when most bicycles are encountering cars everywhere? Right? So, if we close it, maybe there'll be more bicyclists who will choose to use it. But if we close it, it keeps people like myself, because I have bad knees, lots of us are in that age, it makes it more difficult for us. But it also does something else. It closes it in a way that prevents the emergency vehicles from being able to use this on game days. Now that may seem like that's not such a big deal, but I can tell you it is. It is a big deal. If somebody gets hurt in the park over here, it'll be hard to get through. For those of us who live in this area, we plead with you, we plead with Mayor Hamilton to consider the fact that it's not going to benefit a lot of people to close it. And it's going to hurt a lot of us, and we're going to really be frustrated because it's going to be hard for us to accept. So please don't close it. Thank you.
Well, I certainly didn't think that I'd be up here speaking today, but after some of the comments that I've heard, I thought that I would have to. I'm a bicycle rider.
What's your name?
Bill Lee. I used to teach at IU.
From what neighborhood?
We live near Bryant Park. So I don't, this is not an issue that is of great importance to my personal life. But I am a bicyclist. I've ridden a bicycle, except for a dozen scattered years, for nearly all of my life, which is now in its 79th year. Including 43 years of riding a bicycle, nearly every day, here in Bloomington. And basically, I want to elaborate on some of the comments that were made by Peter from New Jersey. I disagree with almost all of the ideas on riding bicycles that come from the city government and the Bicycle Commission and so on. With a couple of exceptions, this is what Peter said, I have never felt unsafe riding my bike on Bloomington streets. And I seldom ride on any of the extensive infrastructure for bicycles that the city has been putting around everywhere, including the proposal we've been talking about here today. One of the exceptions where I do feel unsafe are often associated with improvements made to encourage bicycle riding. Yes. For example, the Southern Line, which is a horrible design. I rode my bike on it about 3 or 4 times. The final time, I was nearly killed on the B-line. I wrote a letter to the paper 2 or 3 years ago. Okay? It's unsafe. It doesn't make bicycling better in Bloomington. Okay? In spite of what the bicycle enthusiasts say. In general, I think that riding a bicycle requires compromise. I don't ride my bike everywhere. There are some places that I would consider unsafe if I tried. I wouldn't ride my bike down College or Walnut. But I can avoid that. There are ways to get around that. I can still ride to the square without using the 7 line. I don't ride on the square because there's too much traffic. But I park short of the square and then walk from there. Okay? But I ride a bike. I don't ride the streets that are ordinarily improved. They don't make improvements. You have to compromise. as was just said a few minutes ago, you can ride a bike here even though there are cars on this road. You may not feel totally safe and you have to take certain precautions, but you can do it. In addition to riding my bike a lot, I use a car a lot. And I just fundamentally think that I'm not willing to see the city adopt more and more measures that eliminate the possibility and the accessibility for cars for a relatively small minority, generally about 5% of the population by most estimates, that are bicycle enthusiasts and who insist that they should have preferred access, in a case like here, total access at the expense of other kinds of access, including cars. Most of us need cars. Almost everyone, with maybe one or two exceptions, in Bloomington, it requires a car. There are simply places that you can't go if you're relying solely on bicycles. It seems to me that the idea that we should restrict access to cars to allow access to a very small minority is just not fundamentally good policy. It's not democratic. It's anti-democratic. And it makes me
We are already well past time, so we're going to have to bring this to a close. I want to thank everyone for coming out today. This has been wonderful. And Isabel, thank you. You're a brave lady. Let me say a couple of things. We had expenses putting this together. We had to rent the shelter. We have ads in the paper about this. So we've got a jar here if you want to contribute towards defraying some of those expenses. We'd appreciate it. No pressure, but if you can, it would be great. Also, I need another volunteer to help push wheelchairs to get people back to their cars. So if you can do that, would you please come see me after the meeting? Yes, question?
I guess I don't understand why the representative of the mayor's office doesn't have anything to say about it.
Well, Austin, would you like to say anything? I'm sorry. Everybody, please listen.
I know some of you have to go, and their question was, why doesn't the representative of the mayor's office? I'm really here happy to listen to all these perspectives and nuances of this particular issue. One of the things that the mayor's staff was really interested in doing is presenting those options to council. It's kind of been in council's court right now to assess those options. We obviously had a range of options, a range of expenses, a range of how we keep the road, whether it's closed, whether it's one way, or building things. The one thing I would probably emphasize just additionally is that no matter what, no matter which of those four policies we choose, there's going to be added investment into this park, of stabilizing the creek, of making improvements, and hopefully making a community improvement. And for those of you with your voice, I really, really appreciate this opportunity to hear from you and that you're willing to share. I actually encourage you to please show up at city government. Please come to these meetings and please share your voice with us. But thank you so much for allowing me to be here.
It is very important. There's a meeting Wednesday, the city council meeting at 6:30. It's very important for you to go because, please listen, this is going to...
Hi, Carol. I think we've had a conversation about 11 points, but there's one thing that stands out. It's right in this book. I just read it. Just listen to this. This is what it's all about. The visitor Cascade thrills in wonder that the fine flat field, and viewing silver shining grills in color smile. Here nature with a lavish hand has painted bush and rock and sage, and nature a perfect wonderland for her entertainment. That's why we're here. Case closed.
Again, if you go to the QR code on the bottom right, you will hear that poem in the beginning of the movie. So please, I urge you to look at that. But what I wanted to say was, Wednesday, Scott Robinson is going to be presenting the mayor's 4 views. to the council, and we'll be following up individually with them. Can I have your attention, please? Give me just 30 more seconds and we'll be done. It's important because you have a chance to speak at that meeting. So please go, either attend by Zoom or go in person to council's chambers. But please plan to go. It is not up for an ordinance vote yet. This is the time to give opinions, so please do it. I want to thank everybody again for coming, and we'll be dismissed. Thank you.